Welcome to the Speak English podcast. Listen, learn, and speak with confidence.
Have you ever tried to apologize for a mistake, only to realize the specific words you chose somehow made the situation just infinitely more awkward?
Oh, yeah. Like, significantly worse.
Right. I mean, you miss a major deadline, or you accidentally step on a colleague's foot in the elevator, and the phrase that tumbles out of your mouth just lands completely flat.
It's brutal.
You can literally see it in their eyes. The tension doesn't dissipate, it actually spikes.
It is a universally agonizing feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, you're trying to defuse a bomb, but because you use the wrong wire, or in this case, the wrong vocabulary, you end up accelerating the countdown.
Wow. Yeah. The wrong wire.
Exactly. And that visceral cringe we feel in those moments is incredibly revealing about how language and, social hierarchy actually operate under the surface.
And that dynamic is the entire focus of our deep dive today. We are exploring a really fascinating guide called Mastering the Art of Apologizing in English: Registers, Social Rules, and Conversation Flow.
It's a great piece of work.
It really is. And the mission today isn't about teaching you to just memorize the word sorry. We are going to decode the unspoken social mechanics of English apologies.
Because there's a whole system there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll explore the formality spectrum. It explains that English-speaking cultures operate on this unspoken continuum of formality. And the formula for choosing your apology hinges entirely on two variables.
Which are severity and relationship.
Yes. The severity of the mistake and your relationship with the person standing in front of you.
Those two variables carry an immense amount of weight. When you apologize, you aren't just expressing generic regret. You are broadcasting your situational awareness.
Like reading the room.
Precisely. You're telling the other person, I understand exactly how much inconvenience I just caused you, and I understand exactly where we stand with each other.
And when those variables are misread,
the apology fails instantly.
Which the source illustrates perfectly when talking about the danger of mismatching your register. And this is where I think the light bulb goes on for most people.
Oh, for sure.
It's essentially a dress code for your words, saying, I take full responsibility when you accidentally bump someone's shoulder in the hallway is like wearing a full tuxedo to a beach party.
That is the perfect analogy.
It is just socially jarring.
It creates instant friction. I mean, when you use a grand, highly formal apology for a microscopic accident, the apology stops functioning as a repair mechanism.
What does it become?
It becomes confusing, melodramatic, or worst of all, sarcastic. The listener might walk away wondering if you were quietly mocking them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can see that. But the flip side is where people lose their jobs or, end friendships.
The under-apology.
Right. Imagine hitting reply all on a sensitive company email exposing confidential client data, and you follow it up by just saying, oops, my bad.
You would look entirely unhinged, or at best, deeply arrogant.
Because the register you selected, that casual low-stakes vibe, tells the victim that you don't perceive their distress as valid.
Exactly. The underlying message of my bad in a high-stakes scenario is basically, I know this ruined your week, but it barely registers on my radar.
Ouch.
Yeah. You compound the original offense by mathematically minimizing their pain.
So, to prevent us from wearing the verbal tuxedo to the beach, or the verbal flip-flops to the boardroom, the guide breaks the spectrum into three functional tiers.
Let's break them down.
Yeah, let's bypass the dictionary definitions and look at the sociology of these tiers. The first is casual and low stakes. Phrases like, my bad, oops, or my mistake.
The rules of engagement for this tier are incredibly strict. These phrases are exclusively for friends, family, or extremely close peers.
And strictly for trivial accidents.
Only trivial accidents. A minor typo in a text, mishearing a coffee order, or the hallway bump.
But wait, I hear my bad used constantly in modern startup culture, even between junior employees and founders. Mm-hmm. Is the guide slightly outdated here or something else happening?
That's a great observation. It points to an intentional blurring of registers in specific corporate subcultures. Startup environments often try to manufacture a flat hierarchy.
Oh, I see.
By encouraging employees to use Tier 1 casual apologies with the CEO, the company is artificially signaling that everyone is a peer. However, the moment a mistake costs the startup real money, that artificial flatness vanishes.
The illusion breaks.
Entirely. If you lose a major investor and tell the founder, my bad, you will discover very quickly that the traditional hierarchy still exists.
That is a brutal trap. So for the vast majority of our lives, we operate in the second tier. Standard and flexible.
The workhorse of everyday communication.
Right, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. It's basically the Goldilocks zone.
It scales remarkably well. It acknowledges that a real inconvenience or loss occurred, but it doesn't require a formal summit to resolve.
So you can use it when you are, say, 10 minutes late to a lunch meeting.
Yes, or if you accidentally break a friend's household object, it covers a lot of ground.
But the limits of that flexibility are really tested when we hit tier 3, which is formal and professional.
This is where the language gets heavy.
Yeah, phrases like, I sincerely apologize, I take full responsibility, please accept my apologies.
The heavy hitters. These are deployed for serious professional errors, customer service failures, or profound personal offenses.
What's the real psychological function of this tier?
It's to signal a solemn, unmistakable acknowledgement of wrongdoing. It communicates deep respect for the victim's time, money, or emotional state.
It basically eliminates any ambiguity. You aren't minimizing the fallout at all.
Not even a little bit.
Because if a corporation suffers a massive data breach and the CEO just tweets, "We are really sorry," it feels entirely insufficient.
The public demands we take full responsibility because the register itself is a form of accountability.
Accountability is definitely the operative word there, but the source material introduces a really fascinating pivot here.
Right, because navigating the register is only the baseline requirement.
Exactly. In English-speaking cultures, verbal regret is often viewed as passive.
Yes, when a mistake causes a tangible deficit, like wasted time, lost money, real emotional distress, native speakers expect a transition from passive regret to proactive repair.
And the guide anchors this transition around a very specific idiom, to make it up to someone.
It is such a critical phrase. It literally signifies offering a positive action, a gift, or a favor to balance out the previous mistake.
You are shifting from looking backward at the error to looking forward at the solution.
Exactly.
The source gives a classic example. You canceled dinner plans with a friend at the very last minute. You don't just say, "I'm so sorry about tonight."
Right, you follow it with, "Let me take you out next weekend to make it up to you."
But let me pause here and challenge this framework for a second.
Go for it.
Is making it up to someone essentially treating human relationships like a bank account? Like, you make a social withdrawal by canceling dinner, and this phrase is just a verbal promise of a transactional deposit. It feels a bit cold.
I get why you'd say that. The ledger metaphor is a useful starting point, but treating apologies purely as mathematical transactions is a misread of the psychology.
Okay, how so?
It isn't just about reimbursing the specific monetary value of the dinner. The phrase, "make it up to you," is primarily an emotional signal.
So it's sending a different message entirely.
Right. It tells the other person, I value this relationship enough to actively take on the burden of repairing it.
So it's less about the specific currency and more about the agency. You are doing the work.
Exactly. When you cancel dinner, you disrupt their timeline. If you just say, "I'm sorry," you leave them holding the bag.
You leave them to figure out what to do with their suddenly empty evening.
And you leave the burden of rescheduling on them. By offering to make it up to them, you reassume the logistical and emotional labor. You change the dynamic from a deficit to an active investment.
That makes a lot of sense. You aren't just paying a fine. You are proving the relationship matters.
Precisely.
But let's flip the script, because an apology always has a target. The guide spends significant time analyzing the person receiving the apology.
Which is just as important.
Right. Why does knowing how to accept an apology require just as much strategic finesse as giving one?
Because of the immense social tension generated by public guilt. When someone apologizes, especially for a moderate to severe mistake, they're putting themselves in a highly vulnerable position.
They're admitting incompetence or thoughtlessness.
Yes. That creates an imbalance in the room.
They are out on a limb, completely exposed.
And the primary sociological function of the acceptance response is to officially release them from that limb.
It's a structured mechanism to clear the social debt.
Exactly. If the receiver doesn't know how to execute that release smoothly, or if they intentionally withhold it, that awkward vulnerability just hangs in the air, creating a toxic environment.
It's a delicate catch-and-release program. And just as there are tiers of apologies, the guide outlines 3 categories of responses.
Let's start with the first one.
The first being casual restorations. Phrases like, "no worries," or "all good." Which, let's be honest, "no worries," is essentially the official greeting and departure of the modern workforce.
Oh, absolutely. Its ubiquity is tied to its extreme efficiency.
How so?
The entire purpose of "no worries" is to instantly minimize the issue and hit the reset button. It signals to the apologizer that their error was so trivial, it didn't even register as a threat to the relationship.
So it pairs perfectly with the Tier 1 casual apologies.
Exactly. Oops, my bad. No worries, all good. The tension is resolved in under 3 seconds.
But the guide warns against using no worries when there actually is something to worry about.
Yes, that's a crucial distinction.
If a friend accidentally backs their car into your mailbox, no worries is a lie.
It's a complete lie.
That brings us to the second category, resolving conflict. The highlight phrase here is no hard feelings.
You deploy no hard feelings when an error or dispute had the genuine potential to cause lasting damage, but you are consciously choosing to signal that the relationship survived.
So it doesn't minimize the mistake.
No, it acknowledges that a boundary was crossed, but it provides reassurance that resentment won't linger.
It confirms the structural integrity of the friendship after a stress test.
That's a great way to put it. It is a profound act of grace, frankly. It allows both parties to exhale after a moment of real vulnerability.
Which sets up the third category perfectly. Formal acknowledgments.
This one is fascinating.
It is strictly for the professional tier, and it contains what I think is the most brilliant, slightly terrifying business maneuver in the entire guide. The phrase, "Thank you for acknowledging that."
It is a masterful linguistic tool.
Why is it so effective?
Well, in a business context, if a vendor misses a critical shipping deadline and costs your company thousands of dollars, you cannot say no worries.
Right, because there are worries.
Exactly. And you cannot say no hard feelings either, because there might be hard feelings.
But you still have to work with them tomorrow. You can't just stare at them in stony silence.
And that is the genius of thank you for acknowledging that, or I appreciate your apology. It threads a microscopic needle.
It validates the fact that the person took responsibility. Like, it accepts the apology.
Yes, but it fiercely maintains the professional boundary. It does not absolve them of the mistake. It simply says it is appropriate that you owned this failure.
It is so clean. It lets them off the social hook, but keeps them on the professional hook. It is the perfect response to the formal, I take full responsibility.
It protects the working relationship without sacrificing your own professional standards or minimizing the disruption they caused.
So we have all these isolated puzzle pieces now. We understand the formality tiers, the pivot to proactive repair, and the strategic release of social debt.
Right.
The guide's final section is where theory really meets practice. It takes these elements and constructs the anatomy of a natural apology exchange.
This is where we look at the rhythm of the conversation. Because a successful English apology is almost never a drawn-out, agonizing monologue.
The longer you talk, the worse it usually gets.
Precisely. A natural exchange is brief, highly structured, and ruthlessly efficient.
The guide breaks it down into a specific 3-part rhythm designed to neutralize friction immediately.
Step 1 is the direct acknowledgement.
Right. You state the apology clearly using the correct formality tier. Like, if you missed a scheduled client call, you use standard or formal register. I'm so sorry I missed our call today.
Direct. You own the failure in the first breath. There is no preamble.
You don't lead with the weather or small talk.
Exactly. You address the deficit immediately.
Then comes step 2, which the guide marks as optional, but it's where I think 90% of apologies crash and burn.
Oh, absolutely. The brief context.
Providing a concise explanation without making defensive excuses. The example provided is simple. My previous meeting ran over time.
This step is an absolute minefield for human psychology.
Why is it so hard for us?
When we are embarrassed, our ego perceives the mistake as a threat to our identity. Our instinct is to preserve our status by proving to the other person that we aren't stupid or malicious, we were just victims of circumstance.
So we turn into our own defense attorneys. My alarm didn't go off, and then the traffic was worse than usual, and my dog threw up, and
in the process of defending yourself, you completely obliterate the apology. You shift the spotlight from their inconvenience back to your own obstacles.
Wow, yeah.
A true apology requires centering the victim's experience. The moment you over-explain, you are asking the victim to empathize with you. You are demanding emotional labor from the person you just inconvenienced.
That is a phenomenal way to frame it. You are stealing their right to be annoyed because you are demanding they feel sorry for your traffic jam.
Which is why the context must be surgically brief. My previous meeting ran over.
It provides just enough logistical data to prove the missed call wasn't a personal insult without devolving into an alibi.
It is context, not a defense case.
Which flows directly into step 3. The solution or repair. This is the proactive pivot.
Yes, you must offer a clear next step.
Like, can we reschedule for tomorrow morning? My schedule is entirely open.
You take the logistical burden back. When we stitch that three-part rhythm together, it sounds like, I'm so sorry I missed our call today. My previous meeting ran over. Can we reschedule for tomorrow morning? My schedule is open.
That takes less than 10 seconds.
But look at what those 10 seconds accomplish. You show situational awareness through the proper register.
Right.
You provide reasonable context without whining. And you demonstrate agency by providing a frictionless solution.
It projects absolute confidence and competence even in the middle of a failure.
It really is a complete toolkit for navigating modern life.
So let's distill this blueprint for you to take away. First, respect the registers. Do not wear a verbal tuxedo to a beach party, and absolutely do not wear flip-flops to a board meeting. Match the severity of your words to the severity of the mistake.
Second, recognize when passive regret isn't enough. When tangible inconvenience occurs, pivot to proactive repair.
Right. Be ready to offer a way to make it up to the person, taking the logistical burden off their shoulders.
Third, if you are the one receiving the apology, understand the power you hold. Release the social debt smoothly.
Use no worries for the trivial stuff, no hard feelings, to confirm a relationship is intact, or thank you for acknowledging that, to keep strict professional boundaries while moving forward.
And finally, when you are in the hot seat, rely on the three-step rhythm. Direct acknowledgement, surgically brief context, and a clear solution. Resist the urge to let your ego turn you into a defense attorney.
The next time you drop the ball, and you know you will, it's unavoidable. You don't have to spiral into a panic. You have the exact architectural blueprint to fix it.
You're ready for it.
But as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought that builds on everything we've just discussed.
What's the takeaway?
Well, the source material frames this entire process almost like a highly calculated algorithm. You assess the severity, you select the tier, execute the 3 steps, and unlock the tension.
It is very structured.
Right. It's a transactional release of social debt. But it makes you wonder, if we view our apologies as these highly efficient, engineered scripts, do they lose their raw emotional weight? Are we just performing a social equation?
It raises the question of authenticity versus efficiency.
Or does having this exact formula actually free us? I mean, if we don't have to spend all our mental energy panicking about how to apologize or worrying about making it more awkward, does the safety of this script actually allow us to be more genuinely empathetic about the mistake itself?
A fascinating tension to consider the next time you have to repair a bridge.
It's definitely something to mull over the next time you find yourself typing out, "My bad," or "I sincerely apologize, hoping you pulled the right lever." Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.